hello, hello, social media family. How are you this evening? I am excited as always, ecstatic, elated, all of those wonderful descriptions to describe my guest on tonight who's been with us and hosted on last week. So if you did not get a chance to watch that, feel free to go back and watch it today after this or over the holiday weekend as you are coming in. Let us know that you are on. Do me a favor, love, like, and share this broadcast. We are continuing with mental wellness, and mental health. But tonight we are going to be covering mental wellness and grief as we are fastly approaching the holiday, which is on Thursday. And then we have Christmas and New Year's Eve. So I want my guest to possibly reintroduce herself. I think you all have become very acquainted with her uh, over the past few weeks, and even when she was a guest host on last week with Nancy Jeffries. I've heard wonderful things about the broadcast. I was on live myself. Just some wonderful information enlightening us on our journey to mental wellness and wholeness. For those of you that may or may not know me, I'm Yolanda Garner, wife to Stephen Garner, senior leaders of Rivers of Living Water Ministry, the International in Chicago. I also have a ministry, Yolanda Garner Ministries. We host Love with Intention conferences annually. Also, with today's Women of the Word, that's under River Chicago Women's Ministry Fellowship. I'm trying to think of everything that I do. Also have a worship team. It's called Worship Beyond, and we are planning a Worship Beyond encounter very soon. And the most recent venture is an entity called Well Loved, and these are gift baskets for first time parents. So if you're interested in any of that information, feel free to inbox me directly and we will get back to you with your question. So I want my guest to reintroduce herself to you as well.
Hi, thanks again for having me on. I'm Rosalind. My introductions are always so short,
I
but
don't know why, y'all, because she got a list.
I am Rosalind. I am a counselor, and so I work in the mental health field. And so I do appreciate being on, being able to share some things that I've learned over the time of being in the mental health field, as well as personal experiences. So I do appreciate this time, especially talking about this topic.
Yes, and when I first was inviting her on Braz on to talk, I did was like, I want to go all in on grief, especially with the loss of my father on, I believe it's been a year now. And I was like, okay, maybe not grief right now because I'm still healing, and I know that we all heal differently at our own pace, at our own time. But I rethought it and I said the holidays are here, and let's talk about it. Even if I have to inhale and exhale while she's talking and I'm listening along with everyone else, it's okay. So really wanting um, some coping mechanisms on how to not be overwhelmed with that emotion, and it's okay. I'm sure she's going to say it's okay to be overwhelmed, but not succumb to those feelings. All of the negative thoughts that come, the memory, the negative memories. I know we want to focus on the positive things, but sometimes it's a lot, to take in. And by the time you come up out of that cloud, you're like, okay, what is today? And we
Mhm,
don't want to get stuck,
mhm.
in this grieving process. So I'm going to turn it right over to Roz and let her enlighten us and share some things that she too has incorporated in her walk on um, this grief walk. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to share, by no means am I a grief expert. A lot of the knowledge that I have, personal experience as well as textbook, just some things that, because I'm still walking through my journey. So I'm definitely not a grief expert. Just some things that, again, personally learned through books. And in groups and talking with other individuals. And you said something that was really important. And I was kind of going to get to it later, but I really want to touch on it now. Actually, read something.
Mhm.
And it says, while the 5 stages of grief may appear to be steps in a process, I'm going to get to that in a moment, they are not. Grief is not packaged up neat or nice.
Okay.
There is no typical loss, there's no typical grief. Every individual grieves differently, and it's not a linear process.
Mm,
And so, backtracking, understanding what grief is and what grief is the loss of someone or something that we loved. And so
mm,
I know a lot of times in discussing grief, automatically, at least for me, my thought process tends to go the loss of a loved one, the
mm,
loss of a friend. But it's so many other things that entails grief. And when we're losing someone, and we're talking about the very definition of grief, in
mm,
the sense of losing something or someone we love. That could be divorce, it could be the loss of a relationship, a
mm.
job, a pet. And so when we expand it to that and we're thinking about grief and understanding that each individual is different,
Yeah.
there is no two people that grieve the same at
Mm,
all. Grief is it's unexpected, it's unpredictable, it's different. And talking about this is such a precious topic to me. It's such a sensitive topic, because no two people grieve the same.
yeah.
Whereas some people may go through stages of grief,
Mm,
some may not go through any of them. I think it depends on the individual as a person, I believe. I think it depends on their personality. I think it depends on coping skills that they already possess. I
mm,
believe it depends on their support system and the people that are around them.
yeah.
They're
That's
allowing that support system in.
yeah.
I myself was rejecting my support system for a time. Uh,
Mm,
but so it all depends on the individual,
yeah.
and it's so different, and it looks so different on different people. And so it's one of the things that we shouldn't compare, but it's one of the things that it can't be compared. I
Okay.
can't compare my grief journey to your grief journey. You
Yeah.
can't compare yours to mine because it's different. The losses may have been different, and even if the losses were identical,
Yeah.
it's still my experience versus your experience. I want to stop there and pause if you wanted to share anything.
Yeah, that's good. I wanted to ask you a question when you talked about the support uh,
Mhm.
group. So, how do you respond, or those that are wanting to be supportive to someone that's grieving, but it's being resisted and rejected? Like, do you give up on them? Do you give them space?
Absolutely.
Because there, can come a point in time whereas when you're ready to receive the support, and
Mhm.
because you have pushed them away so many times, it's like, where y'all at? I'm ready now. So even understanding that when a person is rejecting you, it's not personal. Like how do we handle that? Like when we finally need it, then they're not there because we've said, "Leave me alone" in so many ways.
Uh,
And then we're grieving again because we're not getting that support that we needed, but we didn't know we needed it until we really needed it.
Mhm.
You know,
Ask for it. Ask for it.
just ask. Okay.
Yeah. For me, everything that you shared in that question in terms of do absolutely not. We don't give up on the individual that's grieving. That could be a part of that individual's process. For myself, I'll use myself in this example. I did push people away.
Okay.
Um, but the people that I pushed away, when I was ready, they were there.
I love
And so I asked, I called and said, I'm drowning. I need some
that.
help. Uh,
Mhm.
and so they knew that, but they did not force themselves on me. When I was ready for it, when I was ready to talk, they were available to me. So I think in that sense, if you have pushed people away and they are a part of your support system, then I hope, and I'm sure there is an understanding that this is not personal towards me. It's just their individual process.
Yeah.
And when you are ready, then they'll be available with open arms because, again, you've chosen them as your support system. So you know that when you're ready, they'll be ready for it. they'll be ready as well.
That's good. So I do have another question, and if anyone on with us tonight, you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. But when do you think, sometimes when you're grieving, you don't know that you need help, but just to have that point of reference, because like you said, grief is not just the loss of someone; it could be something. So, would you recommend? But I know the field that you're in, I may not be able to say that word, recommend, because I know you're very conscientious of a person's emotions and how they're feeling and what they're thinking. But would you
Mhm.
recommend, like, the moment you experience loss, that right away you go and talk to someone? Um, because I've shared on one of our lives when I don't know if I shared it on my live or just in conversation, but when someone can observe you being a particular way, they may say you need some help,
Mhm.
and so what is your suggestion about, like, if you lose a job or before it becomes overwhelming and it seems like you're being consumed with the negative emotions that are attached to it? And again, how in certain communities, counseling, therapy,
Mhm.
like a bad word, it's like, you're going to what?
Mhm.
But we want to be a part of the community that says it's okay
To
to
go to
not be okay and to seek help and treatment for not
Mhm.
feeling or being okay. So what would you say to that when the moment you have a loss? Like, do you wait until, you lose weight or you stress or anxiety, or do you get ahead of it? Or can you
I
even
think I think again that's individual. So I think it that depends on the individual. And the example that you use of losing a job,
yeah,
if in that moment, um, it's okay, I can go out and get another job. Didn't care. If you don't feel if that's something that you need to reach out for help, then you don't. But if in that moment you feel like, wow, I cannot manage all of these emotions that I'm feeling
yeah,
by myself, I need to talk to someone, then that's when you can reach out, I believe.
yeah,
Uh, but that's part of what I feel like, and when it's so individualistic, it's so personal to each person. Like it's,
mm,
and so that's why I think sometimes in community, culturally, just growing up, we just assume that grief is linear, grief is packaged,
yeah.
grief is a time frame, uh,
Mhm.
grief
Good.
is all of these things that's so neat when grief is so messy and it's so you are learning a new reality.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you're learning. So, when we brought up the holidays and talking about grief and people have lost loved ones,
Mhm.
lost any number of things that could have taken place. And so I don't know how I feel. I'm
Yeah,
learning at this moment to enjoy a holiday without someone so near and dear to me.
okay.
So that can be messy.
Yeah,
And so,
okay.
that could be, and I'm not saying that, and I want to give this the proper context. I don't want us to just be like, I can do anything type of thing. I do want to provide the proper context that
Okay.
that grief can be that, it
Right.
really
Yeah.
can, but
Right.
just in sharing what grief is and just understanding what grief is and understanding that it's different for different people.
Mhm.
And it was some things that I did want to share in terms of myths that people have and
Mhm.
that about grieving or about a grief process. And
Okay.
one of the myths, the pain will go away faster if you ignore it.
Okay.
Now, again, I'd like to slip my hand up and say, I thought that that would help.
Yeah.
I absolutely thought it does not help.
Okay.
Trying to ignore it, it only festers. It's not helpful. Another one, it's important to be strong in the face of a loss.
Hmm.
I would like to know why.
Okay.
Why
Okay.
do I have to be? And I'm very, very careful because I am a Christian and that is my background. And so at the same time, in saying that, being strong in the face of a loss.
Yeah.
At that moment, Let the weak say I am strong.
Yes.
You know, in that moment, I need somebody to hold up my arms. In that moment, I need somebody that is stronger than me to be able to stand with me.
Yeah.
Um, I do believe I shared at one of the women's groups in regard to um, being diagnosed with a health challenge.
Yeah.
At the time, I did not have the ability to believe for myself.
Mm.
And so I encouraged other people, like, oh, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. Because
Yeah.
I needed them to believe for me. I needed them to help me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
in those instances, again, that's a loss. It was a loss of health.
Yeah.
I didn't have the belief to be able to stand. I needed help. And so with that, sometimes we can't be strong. And that is a myth where people will tell you, you got to do this, you got to do this. No, no. It's a personal journey.
Yeah.
And again, going back to some things that we shared the previous weeks, and
Mhm.
these previous journeys, recognizing when it is that you need professional help,
Okay.
recognizing when it is that you need, and if it's not yet professional help, if you need someone,
Yeah.
call a friend, if have a spouse, hey, I need you at this time. And so I really just I wanted to stress a few things relating to grief, and that is just not linear.
Yeah.
It's not a present. It's just, and it depends on each person
Mhm.
and their personal journey and what the loss is and how they grieve.
Yeah.
I did want to share stages of grief.
Mhm.
Mm. Did you want to share something before I
Yes.
shared that?
I had a question, I think, sort of, yeah, well, question, comment, dealing with me personally, having experienced grief, and then to hear, it seems like loss after loss after loss of friends. Of course, being leaders, senior leaders of a church, you have the congregation that experiences loss, and then you have people that you are close with experiencing loss as well. So, and it seems like moments like that may take you back to, and you feel all of those emotions all over again. So, is there a way or such a thing as to how to not allow that to affect you in a way where it's like you believe that you've made some progress to a certain degree, and then you hear this information, and then you like all of those emotions. It's like it happened yesterday, kind of come back up to the surface, or is that part of? But I know you may say it's individually based. Answer that question for me.
Well, one thing that I can say that I
Yeah.
can answer, it is individually based.
You're gonna get it on the shirt.
Yes, I'm gonna get a shirt.
Uh-huh.
But in addition to that, being honest with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and I hear what you're saying in the position that you are in, and that people do come to you and may need you. So I do understand that. At the on the other, being honest with yourself
Yeah.
and in certain situations, what can I handle today?
Okay.
Um, can I? Is this going to be overwhelming to the point where the two steps that I've gained, I'm like, now I'm sitting in my room again. Not saying that you've done that, but
Don't
now
be
I'm
telling my
sitting.
business. No, I'm just kidding. I know we're talking about a serious subject, but I know I have to
You
laugh.
have to keep some
Yeah,
brevity to it,
like,
yes.
but you ain't saying nothing that listen, people who are not experienced. I'm like, don't be trying to be all prophetic and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
But it honestly is just being able to be honest. If you think that's gonna have you back in a corner,
Yeah.
maybe just, hey, at this time I need to redirect you to the pastor of this ministry to be able to talk through that with. Um, and because that's your journey. We all want to be well, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, we all want to be well. And so I think it's an honest thing, just being able to be honest with yourself,
Right.
and then also being able to put things in place for yourself, making sure that you're taking care of your mental health, uh,
Mhm.
making sure that there are things that that build you up, that encourage you, on a daily. And one of the things that I definitely want to stress is when we're going through and we find things that encourage us, when we find things that build us up, to
Okay.
continue those things and
Mm,
not just do them until the pain that we are experiencing lifts for a moment.
okay. Right.
Just don't do it right now. Oh my God, I miss them so much. Let me go exercise really quick.
Mhm.
Today has been great. I got all of that energy out,
Yeah,
release some endorphins. The day is going to be great.
that's good.
I don't need to exercise tomorrow because what I did yesterday is going to continue to sustain me.
Mm.
When we start finding things, when we're able to see again, when the clarity comes back to us, the fog
Yeah.
starts, we start doing those things that
Mm.
I notice this is building me up. This is encouraging me.
Yeah.
Keep going with it. Keep absolutely doing that. And another, yeah, keep
Mm.
going.
Keep going.
Hmm.
Mm. That's
Keep
good.
walking. My One of the phrase, keep walking.
Keep walking.
Keep walking it out. Keep
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
That's
And I
good.
think, and another thing, I think being patient with ourselves. I
Okay.
know we hear that phrase a lot,
Mm.
being compassionate towards ourselves.
Yeah.
I recently learned about being compassionate towards myself,
Okay.
being friendly, being taking my time with myself.
Mm.
A friend of mine, she told me, she said, I'm not going to let you keep beating up on my friend like this.
Oh.
I'm not going to let you keep doing this.
Okay.
And in that moment, I started to realize, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just because maybe someone else process was a little bit shorter,
Yeah.
mean that your process is wrong. And
Okay.
I did. I beat myself up. My journey is different, I should say. And it probably is not that different to a lot of people,
Yeah.
but mine definitely was not pretty.
Yeah.
It was not linear. It was not it Yeah, it wasn't great.
Mm.
Um, but I started to learn to be patient with myself
Okay.
and to tell myself, Rosalind, you're okay. It's okay that you're feeling this right now.
Okay.
It's absolutely okay that you're hurting.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah.
You have to process through that. And so encouraging myself,
Hmm.
um, telling myself it's okay, giving myself permission, joining a support group.
Yeah.
Some people do find that support groups and being able to share in the commonality of others
Yeah.
is helpful. Uh,
Hmm.
church,
Yeah.
being if you're spiritual, being able to find comfort within your church family,
Yeah.
exercising, walking,
Yeah.
looking up at the sky, breathing. And I know I shared a lot of these last week,
Yeah.
but I firmly believe in them, especially when you find whatever works for you and
Yeah.
you're able to keep doing it.
I like that. And
Mhm.
just like you, what they say, sit into it, like stay
Yes,
in
yes.
that space.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's so good. I like the having patience with
Mhm.
yourself, forgiving yourself, not comparing yourself to someone else's process. Because I know I wanted to like hurry up and be okay. I'm
Yeah.
like, and I would get upset. I'd cry like, "Why I'm not okay? I'm turning out being okay."
Mhm.
And I had a moment, like just like an emotional moment where I just like yelled out some stuff. And
Mhm.
my mother called me at that moment. I'm like, this is just really, I can't even have this moment. Right. And I'm like, God, is this you? Like trying to tell me to come up out of this.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that I thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, holidays are different.
Mhm.
It's different for
Yeah.
regardless of what the loss is. It's
Mhm.
different, and it is a huge life adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Reality.
yeah,
Mhm.
it really is.
Mhm.
And trying to watch, there was someone on social media, kind of sort of like not really a celebrity, but he had been on a couple of reality shows. And I'll make it quick because I know our time is getting away from us. And he was like, he don't want any sad stuff on his
Mhm.
page. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And I know that's probably how he's coping with it. They've been married for about 4 years, and,
Mhm.
I know, he's going to need a lot of prayer because I know sometimes like the finality of it, and even like when after the service, a funeral or homegoing, however you whatever you call it, things are just different
Mhm.
when all of that's over and people go back to
Yeah.
their lives
Yeah.
and may not be messaging him as often as they have been. And so even adjusting to that when it's
Yeah.
quiet,
When the
it's
phone
like,
calls stop.
yeah, it's like, how do you, goodness gracious, like,
When the phone calls stop. Yeah, that's
how do you deal with that? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's,
Now referencing earlier
uh-huh,
about not being a grief expert, because for that,
yeah, yeah,
for that, I will say that when it does stop, when the phone calls stop, I would probably say during my journey, I had nothing to attempt to distract me.
okay,
I'm not talking to anybody. Nobody's calling me right now.
right,
Now, I didn't want it anyway. I'll just be honest and say that.
okay,
When the phone call stopped, I was struggling, but
yeah,
I don't have the answer to that, honestly.
yeah,
How you deal with when the phone calls stop.
yeah,
Of course, I want to refer back to individual base, but again, I don't have the answer to that one.
yeah.
Um,
I think,
I
like you
yeah,
said, just finding that those outlets that
mhm.
brought you that release those, what are the endorphins?
Yeah,
And
releasing.
it's like the exercise,
Yeah.
the breathing, the meditation on, the word,
Mhm.
watching something on television that makes you laugh.
Mhm.
I remember not even wanting to joke, like crack a joke. I'm like, what's funny? Ain't nothing funny. I wouldn't say that out loud, but it was just hard for me because it's like, how am I gonna be happy? And
Yeah.
if this person isn't here anymore. It's like, how dare I try to try to live in this moment? You feel guilty, and all of the other stuff that's associated with grieving and just learning to that it's okay, to go on. I don't know if move on is the right word, but it's okay to kind of just go on
Continue.
and heal, because
Mhm.
this is what it is basically about.
Yeah.
Healing your
Yeah.
mental wellness and not getting stuck, and then opening yourself up to other
Mhm.
unhealthy and unwholesome thoughts as well. I think if you sit in it too long,
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
it kinda overwhelm you and begin to lead you into places you don't wanna go.
Absolutely. And that's part of stages of grief.
Mhm.
Initially, there were five, but amended to about seven. And
Mhm.
we, I'll say I circled all of them.
Okay.
Um, the amendment to the seventh one, I'll share shock, emotional paralysis.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I I've got nothing to say. I'm just sitting here. I cannot believe this happened. Then
Yeah.
the next one, denial.
Mm.
No, this didn't happen.
Yeah.
No, not at all. It's too much. It's overwhelming. So I'm
Mm.
gonna deny it and not believe that this is real, even though I know it is absolutely real.
Yeah.
Next, I'm angry because
Mm.
now I know it's real. Okay, it's real. And now I'm very upset that this has happened. Next stage,
Mm.
the bargaining.
Hmm.
God, if you do this, then I'll.
Yeah.
Or also getting into feelings of guilt. I could have done this. I could have
Yeah.
did this. I wonder if things would have worked out differently if this had happened. God, you can do this. Out for myself, God, there's recordings of you raising people from the dead. So surely I'm waiting for this to happen.
Yeah.
Then depression.
Mhm.
With all and I'm sad,
Yeah.
wanting to retreat, not wanting to be around other people.
Mhm.
The testing phase, and this is what the seven stages testing,
Mm.
coping skills. What is going to work for me? And then in this stage, you have healthy coping skills, you have negative coping skills.
Mhm.
As an individual, trying different coping skills. Now, I'm not encouraging anyone to try healthy or unhealthy. I'm just suggesting share with you.
Right.
The
I'm
testing phase.
any honey, these are just
The testing phase of trying different coping skills. And then the last one is acceptance. Okay,
mm,
this is my reality. This is my new reality. I have to move on. Now,
yeah.
with that being said, that's how they're listed in order, but that
Mm,
is not linear. It doesn't have to go in order. I could be angry today, accepted tomorrow, depressed. Some people go through them all. Some
right.
people go through a few of them. Some go
Mm,
through none of them. It again, it individually based.
yeah.
Uh, but going through those stages and understanding where you are and while you're in it, I can. We said something earlier. You may not know what stage you're in because I
Right.
don't think that the average person that's going through a loss is like, oh, I've just entered the anger stage, so I don't know that we are conscious of what state that we're in at that time. But it would be helpful for us if we started to understand where we are so
Okay.
that we can understand what we need to do to ensure that our mental health
Mm,
continues to increase and not decline.
that's really good. So good. Okay.
Mhm.
I know the time has gotten away from us thinking about the different phases and trying to say, okay, which one am I at? Which all of you up no. Literally that those were excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And just remembering like where did the time go? Like
Yeah.
where was just like, wait a minute, I don't
Mhm.
even remember. Like what happened here? Like I don't know if that is on that stage where you just like just forget stuff. Like, yeah, it's because you're trying to forget
Because
the
you're trying to
thing,
forget.
but you're using the wrong stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, you gotta get this together. Listen,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
you're pushing the healthy cells, all over to stop,
Mhm.
to stop it. And then when you talked about God and not wanting to like be angry at God, I'm like, I cannot, like I'm
Mhm.
mad, but I don't
Yeah.
wanna say I'm mad at G, the
Mhm.
G person.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't want to, put myself in a predicament, where I'm getting in trouble, so even not being able to confess certain things
Mhm.
for fear of, I don't know, like something you get in trouble
Mhm.
with God, but you're angry. And it's like, who are you angry at? Am I angry at doctors? I'm angry at the nursing staff. It's like, I'm angry at, yeah. So just accepting that, you
Mhm. Yeah.
you are angry and you could get over that and you can express that and not keep that bottled in because that's not healthy either.
Right.
Yeah, not
I
healthy.
agree. I agree. I absolutely agree. There's so much in talking about grief, and I know I kind of glossed over it really quickly,
Mhm.
but it's so much in talking about it. Like I said, it's so precious and
Yeah.
so sensitive because it's so personal to each person. And
Hmm.
when you're thinking about it being personal to each person and it being so sensitive,
Yeah.
you want to do right. You want to be able to convey this information and express it so that we'll be able to at least begin to think about it, at least begin to talk about it within our family, within our friends, because it's so much to it. And it just does not entail, oh, I lost a loved one.
Hmm.
I cry. I'm over it. Life is a great the next day. It's different stages. It's different things that we endure and go through. And so it's so personal, so
Yeah.
precious, so sensitive. So I do appreciate you inviting me on to talk about this. So much more to it.
No, and I appreciate you for coming on and being open
Mhm.
to share your personal journey and your professional um, wisdom
Mhm.
slash. I know you don't want to say the expertise
No, please,
as
please
well,
just
but your experiential wisdom, just the things that you. It's interesting that this is a profession and you studied it. Your book knowledge and
Mhm.
wisdom, and then the personal experiences. So you're speaking from different vantage points.
Mhm.
And I truly, truly appreciate your guests. I appreciate observing your healing process naturally,
Yeah.
spiritually, emotionally, and
Mhm.
it's something that I've gleaned from, learned from as well, just watching you continuing to move forward in purpose, because sometimes grief uh, can rip you in ways that you didn't know that it could. But thank you, God,
Mhm.
for counselors, for therapy, for the Spirit of the Lord, for prayer,
Yeah.
all of those working together for us. So we thank you for mental health professionals. Really, thank you for what you do. That's a really selfless. There are a lot of jobs that are selfless, but tonight I'm highlighting the mental health professional because it takes a lot for a human being to listen to others, things that are concerning other individuals and still having their own things that they're working through, but have enough love and compassion and grace to
Mhm.
help you through. I mean, that speaks volumes to who you are and the other mental health professionals as well. And I salute each and every one of you, counselors, social workers, not
Mhm.
just everyone, but they're special, very special people. I think so when they can redirect you and help you come out of those um,
Mhm.
dark places and be used as vessels of the Lord to kind of stop certain things from taking place because they care. And it means a lot when you're going through the loss of anything for someone to genuinely
Care.
care.
And
Because a lot of us, and nothing against those that say they do, and then for some reason they pull back. But when you say it, and then
mhm.
you're actually living it, sometimes it's hard to like, are you like for real for it? Do you mean? Because people say, I'm here if you need me. Okay, what if I need to call you at 3 in the morning?
Mhm.
Call you at what, 4:55? Like, are you there? Or 11
Mhm.
at night. So, and
Mhm.
we thank you for those that can and those that will pray you through. Uh,
Yeah.
Sometimes you need both. Someone to pray you through and to help you through, like pull you up out of that pit
Mhm.
of self-destruction. So leave a voicemail. Okay, Apostle. No, we need it right now. Right now, call right now. Really. Thank you, social
Jesus.
media family. I take it that there are no questions. He is really having a good time. We're here tonight. Thank you for joining us. If you do have any questions, we do have another live that we're going to do next week. I believe at around the same time. So feel free to direct message me or Rosalind Thomas. You can follow her on social media
Mhm.
as well. If there are any questions that you want us to talk about, not now, if you want to, her business, that's different. But this is about Facebook Live. I don't know if she's taking private clients at this moment, but I'm not going to speak for her. That's up to her. But the direct message is for the Facebook Live and patient with the confidentiality. I can't know anyway, so forget that I'm even saying this. If you are reaching out to her for that reason, so I'm sure she can direct you to resources as well. So, if that's it for tonight, if there's anything else you want to leave us with as we are closing out,
No,
Rosalind.
I just would like to encourage those that have experienced a form of loss, no matter what it is. I just would like to encourage you. I know the holidays can be very difficult for us, but as I was sharing earlier about finding something that does encourage your spirit, something that does encourage your heart, something that can uplift you, no matter what it is. I know I provided some examples, but again, whatever it is for you, I would encourage you to do that so you can find some joy in the holiday season. So that's all.
Amen. So good. I had a question for you, but I forgot what it was, and now I remember it. But I know we have to get off, so I'll try to hold it for next week. Lord, bring that back to my remembrance. Yeah, excellent. So, right, I'm like, I just remembered. I'm like, this is not the time. But probably escapism. That was like the gist of it. Like, so maybe next time we can talk about that. How you want to run away from
Mm-hmm.
it. How you just like staying busy, and you're
Mm-hmm.
tiring yourself out from trying to not be reminded of that loss. So maybe
Yeah,
we can talk about that next.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I was also in my notes that I didn't get to. So absolutely.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining and enjoy your holiday Thanksgiving, and we will see you on next week.
Thank you again. Bye bye, everyone.
Yes.